Well, I got home, came out to feed, and I got caught in the rain, so I'm just kind of sitting here waiting for the rain to pass. Hey, everyone, welcome to Patriot Ridge Farm. So, there's more and more things I've been kind of paying attention to. Since we started back in the office full time, I'm in town a lot more frequently, 5 days a week, obviously. And then the other day when I went and got the new meat chicks, they came in Tuesday, so I went and got them at the post office in the next city down. And we've had, everybody knows Appalachia has a drug problem. And it's been obvious to me for years and years and years. I mean, it's not like I've been completely separated from society. You go back to 1993 when I started in emergency, or when I became a paramedic in emergency medical services. I started in 1991, and became a paramedic by 1993, and spent the better part of 13 years doing that. And then, being a nurse and being in ERs and ICU and all these other places that I've worked, so I'm not far removed from society to not recognize the problems. And though I'm not worldly traveled, I can tell you that a lot of things have changed here. And that's everywhere. So I'm broad brushing when I say that, but I'm specifically focusing on one area here. And this is the area where I've lived all my life. And both cities that I travel to, Fairmont, my hometown where I was born, and then Clarksburg, the city where I work at, the amount of destitute, drug addicted, people stoned out of their daggone minds has just unfathomably increased to numbers I've never seen before in my life. Now you're talking West Virginia, 1.7 million plus or minus people in the whole state. There's busloads of these people coming in. I'm not exaggerating that. All you got to do is go to the local bus station, and you can see them getting off the bus coming in from other areas on the East Coast and stuff, and they're just showing up here. And why they would want to come here, I have no idea, because our winters are terrible, our summers are, well, this summer's really bad. But, the infrastructure in this state is absolutely disappearing. And I can verify that by just within 20 square miles of me, an entire municipal sewer system is completely malfunctioning, not working at all. It's flooding people's homes. It's backing up into their basements. It's running across the streets. It's spilling over into their yards. And I'm talking raw sewage. The governor of the state is aware of it. The West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection has been there. They're aware of it. The health department's aware of it. Everybody who's supposed to be aware of it is aware of it. And the mayor of that little town, and it is a little town, why they even have a mayor, I don't know, but they have a mayor, and she refuses to talk to the media. She refuses to address anything publicly. Don't know what's going on with that. Not my town, but these poor folks are getting flooded out by raw sewage. And it's happening over and over and over, and no relief in sight. At least none of it's being communicated anyways. Then you take Clarksburg, the municipal water supply up there. They've been sending residents up there letters saying that their water is contaminated with lead, like off the chart levels of lead. And so the water that they're paying for, that's supposed to be safe drinking water, is contaminated with lead. And I believe that's probably, some of it might have to do with old plumbing in some of the very old houses, but a lot of it has to do with old infrastructure. And they're in a process of replacing a lot of that now, and they've had 2 big water main breaks all within the same week, right in the same location, just completely eroded and blew the road up. And everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised with the rain that we're getting right now I'm actually surprised the electric is still on. That's one of the biggest reasons why we went with a standby generator. And another reason why we ran natural gas up here when we built the house, because we put in almost 1,800 feet of natural gas, and just to get gas up here, because it stops before our property. And then it starts again past our property by another company. So getting gas any other way would have been nearly impossible. Had it not been for the kindness of one of our neighbors allowing us a right-of-way across his property, we would have had to get permits to cross a stream and come under the road. Then you got all those big utilities you got to deal with down there, the main water line and everything. And now, speaking of that, they're actually replacing the water system in this area here. And in 2010, they replaced a portion of it, and put a new pump station up the road up here and put in a new water tower and extended water service to new housing development farther up the hollow. They left the rest of the line that had I think a 27% leak rate, and it was installed in the 60s, and it's all transite asbestos wrapped line. So, and I know asbestos is an airborne contaminant, but the amount of leaks and blowouts that they had to constantly repair, you know, that stuff was getting in our drinking water at some point or another. But anyway, so infrastructure is just horrible here. Homelessness, drug abuse, drug addiction, and I'm not blaming these people. I'm not blaming these people at all, but there's just no services for them. And I mean, there are some services, but you know, as far as in-state, there's like some social services and stuff for them, but as far as like drug treatment and stuff like that, it is extremely limited and extremely costly and very hard to get in. So seeing all of this, I mean, when I went to Fairmont Tuesday to go pick up my chicks in midday, the courthouse square and all the sidewalks leading to and from in the center of town absolutely inundated with obviously destitute, homeless, drug addicted people, walking dead. And to see it like that, and to see it around here, thankfully out here in the rural areas, yes, we have some of our drug problems. We had a couple in this area that were pretty bad, but they've since skedaddled along, though we still see the occasional kind of staggering through and stuff. So, you know, when it comes to all of that, and I'm not talking just the state of West Virginia, this is nationwide. This goes on everywhere. But these are my observations from here in my little area. But talking about that and seeing that, now businesses, everybody, you know, complains about, oh, there's no work, there's no work, there's no work. Bad thing is there's plenty of work. But the worst part of that is it's all minimum wage jobs. Every time we get new businesses in here, in this area, in this region, and I'll put it to you that way, and I live literally 8 miles one way and 7 miles the other way from two of the largest and fastest growing areas in north central West Virginia. And there's huge like townhouse developments going in. There's big home builders coming in, building all these homes and stuff like that. And people are just gobbling them up. I mean, the demand is so high. And why people, and that's on each individual person, why anybody would want to live in a daggone townhome sharing walls on both sides with neighbors. You have no yard. You have no privacy at all other than within the confines of your home or townhouse. And I mean, you're talking $12.50 a month and up just to rent one of those places. I don't even want to know what it's going to cost to buy one of them. But people want this kind of stuff. And I think about things that can potentially happen, you know, that would affect our ability to go about our normal everyday lives. So anything like a disaster, anything like, you know, a long-term power outage, you know, an interruption in the water services and stuff like that. People are going to run to Walmart and every grocery store around. They're going to buy everything out and they're going to run and there's going to be nothing left. And they ain't going to be able to get anything back in time. Everybody's going to suffer from it. And me and my family, we're looking for more and more self-sufficiency as much as we possibly can to decrease and hopefully eventually eliminate the need for commercial and professional consumerism. Couldn't think of the word there. But, you know, we're trying to get away from that. That's our choice. That's our lifestyle choices. That's what we're looking for. But to see the amount of people, especially in West Virginia, here's a funny story. So, and this is how far people are removed from tradition and from old ways. Is my son and my daughter are both in grade school, elementary school. And when my son was in 4th grade last year, he's starting 5th grade this year. My wife is a cook. She makes we eat homemade meals all the time. I cook too. Don't think I'm the one sitting on the couch not cooking, but I cook too. But she bakes bread. She does all this. And my son is absolutely a bread fanatic. He absolutely loves bread, loves homemade rolls. And my wife was making bread one evening on a Sunday, on a Monday or Tuesday evening. And my son asked my wife, he said, can you make some rolls that I can take to school and share with my friends in the class? So my wife messaged the teacher and asked her if it was okay. She said, sure, go ahead. So my wife made a bunch of homemade rolls, took them into class. Everybody got 1 or 2 rolls. And several kids come up to my son and said, where did you buy these at? These are the best rolls I've ever had in my life. They're fantastic. And my son said, Mommy made them at home. And these kids started giving him the 3rd degree. They were like, no, you mean she bought the frozen ones and took them home and baked them? He said, no, she made them with flour and dough and salt and everything else, made them at home, like from scratch. These kids had no idea that you could bake bread at home, that you could make rolls at home. And the saddest part of that is what are these? Well, I know what they're eating. They're eating crap. They're eating box dinners. They're eating fast food, drive-through, DoorDash and everything else. And they don't know what a good home-cooked meal is. They have no idea what a home-cooked meal is. And that tells you that their parents are either, they're either too busy with their job that they can't cook or bake. 2, they don't know how to. Or 3, they just like the convenience and just buy everything and, pre-made. And what are you teaching these kids? You're teaching these kids absolutely nothing. My son learned how to fry eggs properly. He learned how to fry eggs. He loves to fry eggs now. You come to the house, he'll say, hey, let me fry you some eggs. How do you want them? Sunny side up, over easy, scrambled? He's absolutely fanatical now that he knows how to cook eggs, that he wants to cook everybody eggs. And he's learning, and my daughter's learning that. They're learning how to do this stuff at home. And this is what we should be teaching these kids. But it's just so sad to me that these poor kids, that they don't have any exposure to this. They have no idea. And like I said, if something bad happens, God, you can just look around. Look at the world, man. What a mess it is. Russia's rattling sabers with us, and China's always rattling sabers with us, and North Korea's piping in. Little Rocket Man and his little chunky sister over there, they're always rattling and, threatening people, and Iran, death to America type of stuff. And we've supposedly got all these terrorist cells in the U.S. and everything just waiting on the go call. And, all it's going to take is just something little to interrupt what people take for granted as every day. Just do this, do that, do this, do that. Everything's there for me. I don't need anything. If I do, I go to the store and it's over with. And, I can pop it in the microwave, or I can throw it in the oven and, it's already made. I just got to warm it up type of thing. Walmart, Sam's, and all these big grocery stores now, they sell these rotisserie chickens that are already baked. People bring them home and this is their meal. Hey, we had rotisserie chicken last night. Did you make it, yourself? No, it was already made. They probably wouldn't know how to even bake a damn chicken. And this is scary to me. This is absolutely scary to me. We're 2 or 3 generations away from the generations that did this stuff. This is how they got about their everyday lives. They made everything from scratch. They hunted, they foraged, they raised their animals, they raised their crops. 2, 3 generations, it's gone. It's absolutely gone. These people don't know nothing. So I'm not sitting here spouting doom and gloom, but just in the case right now, I'm sitting here just waiting for the rain to pass. We've had major rain events since April here. Father's Day weekend, we had so much flooding in the region, like unprecedented flooding. Downtown Fairmont, which is removed from the river that runs down through there, like the Mon River. Of course, it's a river valley, but everybody clear back up on the hills. But right below Fairmont State University, freaking apartment buildings got completely flooded because the storm drains couldn't handle the amount of water. Bridgeport, one of the, I'm not say uppity, but one of the up and coming cities that's, trying to make a name for itself, higher end type of stuff. On Route 50, Bridgeport Hill, it floods. There's a freaking river running down through there because the current infrastructure cannot take the amount of water in the rainstorms that we're getting. That apartment building in Fairmont that flooded, it was coming in the freaking apartment building through the first floor, blowing out the windows. It was so bad even a roof collapsed because the water built up on the roof. It was that much or that heavy of a rain event. And that's just like one of multiple. Wheeling, West Virginia, up in the northern panhandle. Man, they got wiped out in big floods. It's happening more and more and more frequently. And people are not ready for this kind of stuff. They are absolutely not ready. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the skills. And I mean, a flood is a tough thing to escape from if you don't have a warning. And you live in an area that's not typically or known to be flood prone, and all at once you get a rain event that completely overwhelms the infrastructure and wipes out the building that you live in or the home that you live in. There's not a lot of preparedness for that. But people need to really take into consideration and get more serious about being ready for these kind of events and disasters. I mean, we get a big power outage out here, and you hop on your cell phone, jump on Facebook, and everybody's screaming and cussing and yelling and freaking out because they lost their damn internet. And but they're on their phone using their internet, but they're freaking out because they lost their internet. They can't do the big games, the online games. They can't do this. They can't do that. And what the hell is a professional gamer? Are you serious? You're a professional gamer. You sit on your butt on your couch all day long or in your little gamer chair, and you professionally play video games all day. Hey man, that's up to you. You're absolutely 100% dependent on infrastructure that is not up to par for today's society. It's definitely not going to withstand the amount of storms and the type of storms that we're having now, the frequency and the severity of the storms that we're having anymore, that, you know, are causing more and more and more widespread damage and massively flooding and damaging areas that typically don't flood. It's crazy. And that should be a wake-up call to people. But the only thing they're worried about now at this point is, now where am I going to live? Rightfully so. And how much money am I going to get from FEMA? I mean, it's sad. It's absolutely sad. And yes, these areas did get approved for FEMA funds and everything like that. It took a little longer than I expected, but they did get approved for it. But, you know, it's falling apart. I traveled to Fairmont, so when I left work to go get my chicks that day, I traveled 16 miles on, well, actually, I take that back. I probably traveled 23 miles, 23, 24 miles on US Route 19. In my travels, there is a 10-mile stretch of US Route 19 that is down to one lane because the roads are completely falling in. It would have been 7, but they finally got that one repaired. But 6 active areas where the roads are falling in, that they've got barreled off, they've got yield signs set up, they got temporary stoplights set up, and down to one lane because the roads are falling in. And all they keep doing is just waiting for this shit to happen instead of keeping the ditches cleaned out, getting the drains opened up, improving the drains. They're just waiting for stuff to collapse before they even go in and do anything. And that's on the politicians. That's on the government. People in West Virginia have been complaining about the road conditions my entire life, as far back as I can remember. And they don't do anything. They don't do anything to improve the situation. They wait for a crisis to occur before they respond to it. Not jumping on state workers or anything like that. That's their leadership. These engineers and these supervisors should be going out inspecting these areas. They should be looking at this stuff. The ditch down here that runs along this road, 4 years ago, 5 years ago was the last time they cleaned that ditch out. My culvert at the bottom of my driveway is plugged up. Yep, it's plugged up. I got a big culvert down there. I think it's it's a 24-inch culvert. It's open about that much from them ditches. So, you know, they're just not doing what they need to do. The contracted company that's out there replacing the water lines are actually doing a better job recreating the ditches after they put the water line in. They're actually doing a better job than the state has ever done. When a state comes and cleans out the ditches, they dig a 6-inch wide ditch. That's all they clean out, 6 inches. And about 6 inches deep. So 6 by 6 is about all they do. And every road, every ditch around here has a hill coming down to it. So you got constant erosion. You got constant movement where that's coming in there. And 6 inches. That's all they'll allow them to do. These guys are replacing the water line. They're doing a hell of a lot better job. Anyways, it's just falling apart. It's absolutely falling apart. People are so far removed from any type of self-sufficiency, self-reliance, and stuff that it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. You have a huge population of destitute, homeless, drug-addicted people who are, you know, they're a strain on society. I didn't say they're a drain. They are a strain on society and social services. And when the big whatever happens, who's going to be the first to suffer? Other than everybody, but who's going to be the first to suffer most? Those who have nothing, and those who lose everything and have no backup. Think about that. Not doom and gloom, not spreading fear, just my observations and my thoughts on things. I think our elected leaders ought to pull their heads out of their third point of contact and get their crap together and start doing some improvements and making some effort and getting more and more relative business in this state rather than vape shops, marijuana dispensaries, video gambling parlors, and liquor stores and fast food. They need to get away from that and start recruiting and building up our economic base with better, more sustainable, and more profitable business for our population. That's my message for today. And out of all of that, I'll leave you with this. Stay prepared, stay free. God bless y'all.